As we've all heard about, President Trump signed 4 executive orders on unemployment insurance extension, payroll tax deferral, eviction moratorium, and student loan relief. And at the time, we were pretty excited to actually see progress being made, but now we have the text. And unfortunately, it's not quite as good as we hoped. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down that unemployment insurance executive order and telling you exactly how much money you will likely get if you're even eligible, and all of the other details you must know now that we have the text. My name is Kevin Conway. I make personal finance videos and stimulus news update videos all the time, so be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to stay informed, and give a like to this video and share it with whoever you think it might benefit. Now let's get right into it. Trump's executive order actually extends the unemployment insurance, but does so by having the federal government only provide 75% of the extension amount of $400. That is, the federal government is going to contribute $300, but before the federal government even does that, states must agree to contribute 25% or $100 of that extension amount. This compares with before, when Congress authorized in the HEREOS Act the unemployment boost of $600, which came directly from the federal government in its entirety. The states had their unemployment insurance, and the federal boost of $600 was on top of that, but states didn't have to pay for that $600. And now states have to contribute a little bit more than they already were in the past to their state unemployment benefits. So as it stands right now, states range in weekly unemployment benefit maximums from around $250 to close to $1,000 per week for the different states in the union. And then the federal boost was on top of that. And also remember that the CARES Act authorized the states to actually encompass a lot more people in the unemployment insurance rolls. So if you were self-employed, if you were a gig worker, you drove for Uber, you were in DoorDash, whatever it may be, and you weren't normally qualified under state unemployment insurance, the CARES Act actually expanded the people who were eligible for state unemployment insurance. On top of that, states also added 13 additional weeks to the unemployment insurance maximums in every single state, which means that in most states, you can get state unemployment up to 39 weeks. Now that didn't change and that didn't expire. The key issue here is that extra federal boost on top of that, but here's where it gets interesting. States are already stretched to the max because they have a lot more people on unemployment insurance, a lot less people have jobs and are paying taxes, and overall their resources are stretched completely thin as it is. And the fact that they have to contribute an additional $100 for all the people who are on unemployment insurance getting that federal boost, that's going to be an extremely difficult burden for a lot of states to actually take on. So where are states supposed to get this money exactly? Well, in the CARES Act, there was something called a relief fund set aside for states specifically to help with their budgets. It was around $250 billion, and it was supposed to be used to help states implement different testing measures and actually smooth out their state budgets all throughout the country. But of that $250 billion, the amount that the federal government said, hey states, why don't you use that to actually fund your unemployment insurance, of that amount remaining, only about $80 billion is actually left over. And of that $80 billion, the vast majority of it is actually already earmarked for state budgets already to help with all of the other shortfalls that they've already had, exclusive of this additional federal unemployment insurance boost. And so there's really not any relief money left over, any already allocated money for states for this very purpose. So even though the federal government said, hey, states, you could draw upon this relief fund, there's really not much there to draw upon. And so states are left having to either make a really tough choice of saying no more unemployment insurance benefits, no more federal boost benefits for individuals. We can give you your state benefit, but not anything other than that. Or they are left with the choice of saying, fine, we'll provide you that additional federal boost. 300 will come from the federal government and 100 will come from states, but how exactly are they going to pay for that? California, for example, is going to have a $30 billion shortfall versus projected tax revenue from last year. New York's governor made it even more clear, stating that in order to provide that extra $100 in order to get that federal benefit, he said it's simply impossible. So here's where we're left. If your state is in the position where they can actually get that additional $100 on top of their state benefits, then you'll be able to get those federal benefits as well. If your state does not agree and does not have the ability to actually produce that additional $100, well, then you won't get that additional federal boost. At least that's how it is right now. Now, Secretary Steve Mnuchin actually said that perhaps Trump could waive this portion, this requirement for states to contribute that $100 in order to get that boost. Now here's actually still the problem, that pesky thing called money. It plagues states and it also plagues the federal government. So here is technically how President Trump was able to authorize this in the first place. He just had money over here in the federal government and swooped it over here into a different pot. Because President Trump didn't use Congress to pass a law, he is very limited in the amount of money available to him. Specifically, in order to fund this federal benefits program, Trump is borrowing off of the Homeland Security Disaster Relief Fund of around $70 billion in that account, and he's taking that money to actually use to supplement this federal employment boost without the authorization of Congress. He's able to do so, but here's the issue. $70 billion, well, that sounds like a lot, really is not very much at all when it comes to providing an additional $400 boost for all of the people who are unemployed in the entire country. And there are also limits to drawing upon this Homeland Security Disaster Relief Fund. While he can draw upon it because this economic disaster qualifies it as a disaster for the purposes of the fund, he only can draw upon that $70 billion until he's down to $25 billion. If he wants to go over this, well, he's going to need Congress to agree to reauthorize this amount. Now you may be saying to yourself, $70 billion, drawing that down with the millions and millions of people who are on unemployment, how long is that actually going to last? Well, they did an analysis, and according to the Washington Post, it looks like it may only last around 4 weeks. So even if Trump waives the state requirement to contribute to this fund, and the federal government does provide this additional boost, it may only last for around 4 weeks. And on top of all of that, there's even more bad news. This assumes that states can actually adjust their unemployment numbers enough to where they can actually make the calculation of this $300 or $400 and distribute it on top of their state benefits. And that's really not something I think a lot of people feel confident in states being able to do. As anyone who's received unemployment insurance knows, states were completely backlogged when they first implemented this system. Many people have still not received their unemployment insurance, and it's very doubtful that states will be able to get this up and running in time to be effective for a lot of people, which is super frustrating. And unfortunately, I have even more bad news. If you are somebody receiving unemployment insurance from your state, and you've only been receiving less than $100 from your state because your previous job didn't pay you very much and you only qualified for around $90 a week in state benefits, well, previously you were receiving the $90, and then because you were receiving any amount of state benefit, you were eligible for the federal benefit of $600, so you were taking home $690 per week. That's pretty good. Now, according to this new executive order, you are only eligible for that additional $400 boost from the federal government if you make a minimum of $100 in benefits from your state. So if you were making $90 from your state before, you are ineligible for that additional federal boost, which means that a large swath of people, estimated to be around 10 or 15% of those on unemployment right now, will not be eligible for the federal boost of unemployment insurance, assuming that it even is paid out in a timely way and there is enough money in the first place. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below and your experiences so far with the state unemployment offices. Okay, so with all of that being said, with all of that bad news, what is the silver lining in all of this? What is the optimism that we can look to? Well, here it is. Because we've extended unemployment insurance, although not perfect and although not to everybody and not for the $600, it was extended to a small degree. That's better than zero, okay? That's better than zero, and it gives Congress the time to actually negotiate one another and bring something better to the table, hopefully sooner rather than later. And according to the White House, they're willing to add more money to the discussion, and it looks like the parties are going to get a little bit closer. And hopefully this executive order changed the math a little bit so where, the stalemate is no longer. One side has already done something, the Republicans have already put forward this in the executive order. Maybe the Democrats will be more likely to negotiate with the Republicans. Who really knows? Who really knows who's to blame? But the point is, hopefully this gets it going again, and it'll actually be something to actually give to people on unemployment insurance right now, as opposed to what previously was the case, which was $0 after that extended unemployment insurance benefits ended on July 31st. So comment below and let me know what you think Congress should be doing right now. Just so you know, most of them are on recess. So although there is a whole lot of anger out there, they don't really seem to get the picture that people need bills to pass right now. So with all of that being said, things develop and change all the time, and I'm always going to be reading and producing and trying to give you the most direct, honest, and meaningful information that I possibly can. So be sure to subscribe to this channel, like the video, and share it if it helped you out in any way, and if you want to stay right on top of this, because things are changing really fast. Additionally, if you want to save yourself a little bit of money, you don't want to pay overdraft fees, and you don't want to have any sort of account maintenance fees, I gotta mention, I really like SoFi Money. Check it out in the link below. It's an account I've had for many years, and this could help you save at least 10 to 15, 20, 30 bucks a month. It's better than nothing, and it certainly is useful at a time like now. Plus, if you have, I think, a couple $100, you can get a $50 sign-up bonus for using my link or anyone else's link for SoFi Money. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.